Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 8 of B-Road Ballers, the review series for Gran Turismo 6's hot hatches, of which there are quite a few. Now this model that we're reviewing today is one of the lesser powered hot hatch models in its stock form, but is actually one of the best as a track car when fully tuned, and it is the seemingly underappreciated Clio 16-valve RS from 2002. Now there are two versions of this particular Clio. There's the Clio and the Lutetia, but they're exactly the same, they just have different names. And it's a deceptively good car, because in its stock form it's uninspiring. Less than 170 horsepower, doesn't exactly sound amazing, but when fully tuned it's actually got a surprisingly good spec. The spec, fully tuned, from its 2-litre turbo engine is 381 horsepower, which is pretty impressive. But it is to be noted that this car is not without its flaws. As you can see, it likes to cock its rear wheels under braking because of how much weight is over the front end, and that is something which it actually does in real life as well, although thankfully not to the same degree that it does on the game. Now, speaking again of spec, 381 horsepower is very impressive considering how much it had to start with. It also produces a decent 280 pound-feet of torque, which for a front driver is about as much as you'd want in a vehicle of its size and drivetrain. And it only weighs 864 kilos with the full weight loss package. And thanks to that, even without having necessarily class-leading power, it still has a really great power-to-weight ratio of 441 horsepower per tonne. Now the PP is also surprisingly high on this model, perhaps not to you, but it was to me, at 532 PP, which for a hatchback which is as relatively low spec as it is initially, to end up with a PP that high is pretty impressive, and it does give you a clue as to how much potential this car may have, and it certainly does have tons of potential. It's relatively compact, a lot more compact for instance than the V6 version, obviously, and significantly more compact than many of the newer generation hot hatches. Now the handling is very good. The brakes though, as you can see from just now flipping the car over completely, and I hadn't tuned it to do that, that was just with a regular tune, the car just likes to do that, which is a same issue that runs for the Mitsubishi FTO as well. And it's not really a difficult problem to fix. All you need to do is put ballast over the rear end and it pretty much eliminates that issue. But it is something to bear in mind when you're tuning it. Now the handling is very good. It's to be noted though that even with zero camber, which is what I run all of my front wheel drive cars with, it still feels quite heavy considering how small and light it is, and I think one of the main reasons for that is because of how much power and torque you've got going through those front wheels, which is a huge amount of power and torque for such a small, lightweight front drive car. The handling though overall is very good. It handles kind of like a very small touring car. The handling is very dependable, it doesn't really catch you out, it handles very much like a front wheel drive car, but it is certainly one of the best handling front wheel drive cars. Now in terms of how you can throw it around corners, it's no Ford Focus RS, but it's certainly not bad. It's one of the most nimble, low-level hot hatches in the game, and it's certainly worth considering if you're looking to buy a hot hatch that doesn't necessarily require top speed, because the straight line performance, although certainly not bad, is unsurprisingly nowhere near the quickest of its class. Now the price on this particular model is a very reasonable 29,000 credits. It's actually just under 30,000, and that's really good value considering how good this car is fully tuned. Around the track, I must admit I haven't used it in racing, and overall I haven't used the car very much for anything really, but just from driving it in a very short period of time in preparation for this series, I can feel how much potential this car has. It's certainly one of the strongest front-wheel drive hot hatches in the game, and in real life the Clio RS is known for being a brilliant front-wheel drive hot hatch. It's just to be noted that you need to be careful how much power you put through the wheels in order to get cornering to performance ratio really in the levels that you'd want, so that you're not fighting against the steering. So overall, if you haven't tried this car before, it's certainly worth considering, if not actually buying. Not necessarily to take on the top level hot hatches, but for more lower level hot hatches to go up against, say, the Alfa Romeo Mito, the 147, the Focus ST perhaps. It's certainly capable of taking on those models with its advantages of ultra low weight and extremely compact body style. So overall, it's a car which I haven't given the due that it deserves, but is certainly a car with massive track potential. So, if you haven't tried this car before, I would urge you to do so, because it's definitely worth considering. And that's it for this episode. So I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.